Right next to me is a young weeping cherry. This is probably about 8 or 9 years old too. And weeping cherries are not natural in nature. Normally what happens is somebody discovers a mutation and they take cuttings from those mutations and they graft them on to a rootstock, and then you have this weeping form. Now, what we like to do is try to keep that weeping form, and sometimes you will have growth maybe up around the top that'll go just straight up, and those types of things need to be taken out, or down at the base of this particular tree, it's producing some side branches way down on the tree, which is not going to make it look nice in the landscape. Also, about the only other thing I need to do on this tree, since it's fairly young, is to look for wood that may have died toward the tips during the winter months. I don't know if you can see this on this camera or not, but this is kind of gray, and it's dead back to about these buds here. There are no bud swelling along the base here, so all of that will be taken off. And this will take about 5 minutes to prune. So first of all, we don't want anything growing down here, so we're going to take this right off. I'm going to probably use the loppers, but I can do it. And of course, there will be buds growing along here that are going to have to be trimmed later. So that's something you have to be aware of. So this branch down here, below this point here, is dead, but I don't want this these buds going back off in that direction, so I'm just going to trim it. Oh, we'll trim it right below the buds, and then we'll just trim this back a little bit. You can get a few flowers from that. And so here's another one example that has died, so I'm going to trim here. So all I really have left to do on this tree is find out what's dead and what's not, and trim it back. This one took a beating this year. There's quite a bit of dead growth on it. Feel kind of bad that all these little branches are dead, but weeping dead branches don't really add much to the tree. So now in some of these cases there are a few of them are crossing, like these are pretty close together, but for now I'll just leave them, and I'll come back a little bit later and check them out, and if it doesn't look too good, then I'll take them out. But I want to try to remove as little as possible. Oh, so sad. Now this little section right here I'd probably take off, but it has a couple of buds, so I'll leave it for this year. This one has lost almost 16 inches of growth that has died during the winter. And of course, in the Lansing area we had some very cold temperatures, and it caused some dieback of different types of plants, and so that's probably what happened here. But it'll grow back. Now this one looks very interesting. It's a different color than all the rest, and it's much longer than all the rest. So what I'm going to do is just trim it back so it's fairly even with the rest of the tree. Can't do it perfectly because it's just not going to allow me to do that. This whole branch right here is dead. It kind of hurt your feelings. Now this branch right here is crossing over this one, so I'm going to take it out. This one's growing slightly upward in the back here. You probably can't see it on camera, but it's so short that it'll have some flowers, so I'm just going to leave it there. We'll see what develops from it. This one has a little section that's dead. These buds look like they might be alive, and little short branches here that are dead. And I think that is it. There's some smaller branches right here that would probably just fall off in a good storm, but I'll just trim them off as they would break down. more I look, the more I find it's dead. Now, since this tree suffered a little bit from the winter, this is an example of an ornamental that would benefit from fertilization, and now's the time to do it because we're in mid-April. So that's all we're going to do on this tree, and it's completed.